of the golfing news from around the world with Jamie Weir. But just before that, here's Kevin Na with a little bit of insight.
My goal is to make the Ryder Cup team this year at Whistling Straight. I would love to be a part of the team. And I know the following Ryder Cup in Italy, and the captain, I believe, is Tiger Woods. So it's another thing that I'm looking forward to.
Is that confirmed that Tiger's going to be captain for the next one in Italy? I hadn't heard that. Have I got a scoop?
I heard rumors. Okay, let me. Am I starting a rumor? Sorry, that's what I. Am I not supposed to say anything? I don't know. I've heard rumors. I won't tell you who I heard it from, but that's what I heard.
If you heard it from Tiger himself, then it might be true. So.
It wasn't from him. It wasn't from him, but it was from one of his friends.
Yes. Kevin letting the big out of the bag there. That was a really fun interview with Kevin last week. Interesting to get Lee Westwood's thoughts on that a little bit later on, because he's previously stated that it's his desire to be Europe's for that Ryder Cup in Italy. Kevin now will, of course, be defending his Charles Schwab Challenge title in just 16 days' time. He admits, though, that he does have some concerns about the PGA Tour getting back underway. Eddie Pepperell says he won't be playing in the year's first rescheduled major, the PGA Championship in San Francisco in early August, partly with quarantining rules, but partly also because of the rumoured European Tour schedule. We expect official confirmation of that within the next week, that they'll start back at the British Masters on July the 23rd, before 4 more events on British soil at the Forest of Arden, Hanbury Manor and Celtic Manor. In the LPGA, Commissioner Mike Wan announced that all players exempt for 2020 will continue to be exempt for 2021, with Q School scrapped for this year. Justin Rose is a free agent again after his deal with Honma. He won his very first event with their clubs at Torrey Pines, but has since fallen from 1st to 14th in the world rankings. And finally, Matt Fitzpatrick has started his 14-day quarantine period in Florida before playing in the first event back, the Charles Schwab Challenge. As I was saying earlier, caddy Harry Diamond is doing likewise. The other 3 UK-based PGA Tour players, Tommy Fleetwood, Francesco Molinari and Lee Westwood, have all stayed put here in the UK. But I'll come to Damon next, because that Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial, Damon, is shaping up to have a pretty impressive field.
Jamie, it's the best field in the history of Colonial. 7 of the top 10 in the world will be in the field. The likes of Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, Jordan Spieth is playing, Ricky Fowler, a past champ, and Phil Mickelson. But one notable absence is another former past champ, former world number 1 Adam Scott, who says he believes the testing parameters on the PGA Tour aren't as tough and stringent as he thought they would be. So he's going to wait nearly a month to see how this first kind of dip the toe back in the water goes for the PGA Tour, the first 4 events without fans. But there's a lot of excitement from the players who are in the field, but I believe there's still some trepidation from some players, and Adam Scott, kind of leading the charge and voicing those concerns.
Ryder, as I was saying there, Matt Fitzpatrick, a young man with no family, he's decided to go out and play in the PGA Tour, take that 14-day quarantine beforehand. Westwood, Molinari, Fleetwood, they've all stayed put. If you were in their shoes, what would you do? Would you do the 14-day quarantine over in the US, or take your chances in Europe?
Well, we don't really know what's going to happen, Jamie, here in Europe. We've got an idea that there's going to be a British swing. I'd go to America. I wouldn't like to take so much time off. I'd like to go to the States and quarantine and get on with it. Even go there a little longer than 2 weeks. You get your 2 weeks quarantine, then a week's practice, and then get stuck in. The PGA Tour seemed to be a lot more forward in progressing faster than the European Tour. And, there are no rules, we know. But if it was me, I would be going over to the PGA Tour and I'd get ready to play and get the game in strict quarantine. There's going to be strict testing, and rightly so. They don't want anything to go wrong. They don't want anyone to get ill, and I'm sure they won't. And I think it's going to be very interesting. But I would be stateside. A lot of guys I saw up where I live here in the UK and up at the local supermarket, I see the caddies all the time, and they all left on Sunday on a flight to Miami to quarantine down there in West Palm Beach. So they're all getting ready to rock, and we're going to get live golf pretty soon on that PGA Tour.
We are indeed. Damon, it's interesting. The PGA Tour, by some people, by some quarters, is criticised as being pretty late to lockdown, and now, of course, one of the first major sports to return. How's all that being perceived over there in the United States?
Yeah, golf got a little bit of a rocky goodbye, at least on the PGA Tour side during that Players' Championship. They had golf on Thursday with fans and kind of abruptly canceled it late Thursday into Friday, canceled the rest of that tournament. So they have to get the return right. There's such a thirst for professional sports here in the United States. And I can tell you that golf feels like, because it's played over a 5-mile golf course with lots of social distancing built in, that golf may have an inherent advantage that, say, or pro football wouldn't have, or pro baseball or basketball, which is held in a more confined space. I can tell you that the NBA is considering having a half season, perhaps in just 1 or 2 cities, including Orlando, the home of Golf Channel Studios. Baseball is considering having teams in the state of Arizona and having a shortened season there. Golf has a great opportunity to kind of be at the tip of the spear. Hand sanitizers on tee boxes and greens. The firm suggestion that players kind of stay in the same host hotel, eat at the same restaurants, don't go to bars. So a lot of it's going to be on the PGA Tour, but a lot of it's going to be on the players as well to social distance, make good choices. So you want to as smooth a return to pro golf as possible.
Damon, I want to ask you about that. What we heard Kevin say a little bit earlier there, that potentially Tiger could be the Ryder Cup captain in a couple of years' time. 2 questions for you. 1, was that a big surprise to anyone over in the States? And 2, do you reckon Peyton Manning could be within a shout of a captain's pick?
And not a big surprise, Kevin Na letting the big cat out of the bag, as it were. And gosh, Peyton Manning can definitely golf his ball, and there he is, a good friend of Tiger Woods. Think about Tiger's evolution in this whole team concept of Ryder Cups. Criticized early in his career for being too much of a solo artist, not enough of a team player, would play great during singles, but not so great necessarily in the team, that he wasn't all sold out for being a Ryder Cupper. And now look at him, an incredible captaincy that he had in 2019 in Royal Melbourne, and now rumored to be the 2022 captain. Not a surprise for the Ryder Cup, considering the evolution of him as a player and person. He has incredible allies on the American side, players who look up to him, the likes of Justin Thomas, Patrick Reed, Kevin Na. They love Tiger Woods. They see him as a great uncle, a great mentor. We saw what he did in bringing that team together. It would surprise absolutely no one if Tiger is the captain in Italy in 2022.